Breaking news today.
Please subscribe and then check notification box to get all breaking news alerts.
And once again we see those followers of the so-called religion of peace being peaceful and tolerant. This weekend peaceful Muslims in New York City took it upon themselves to call for the slaughter of Jews after President Donald Trump made good on his campaign promise by officially recognizing the ancient city of Jerusalem as Israel's capital, and pledging to start moving the U.S. Embassy to said city. Keep in mind these protests weren't in some Middle Eastern Islamic cesspool, they were in New York City. And they actually rattled our cages by mentioning Qatar, where so many Jews were slaughtered and enslaved by these peaceful savages. History tells us that at the massacre of Qabar, Muhammad brutally tortured a Jewish chieftain in order to extract information about where he had hidden his treasures. When the treasure was uncovered, the chieftain was then beheaded. This chieftain was the husband of the most beautiful Jewish woman of Qabar, the 17-year-old Safiyyah. Safiyyah's family members had all been annihilated by Muhammad at the Banu Qurayza massacre. Now having beheaded her husband, the Prophet took Safiyyah as his own sex slave and copulated on the very same night of the massacre. Sounds like Islam at its best, doesn't it? Via WND. Taking apart the Islam is religion of peace claim. Former U.S. House candidate, it's really subversive and seditious. Thinking of appeasing your Muslim friends and neighbors by calling Islam the religion of peace? Be careful. You may end up inadvertently angering them, according to Wisconsin-based businessman Paul Nehlen. We're out there saying Islam is the religion of peace, and they've read the Quran and they know it's not the religion of peace, Nehlen told host Susan Knowles on Monday's episode of Stand for Truth Radio. They know it's the religion of submission, it is the religion of subjugating others. And so we're essentially saying to Muslims, you don't know what your religion is. Nehlen, a Christian, said if a non-Christian told him the Bible mandated he dig a 400-foot hole in his front yard and fill it with juice, he would get upset and push back vociferously against the idea. He fears that is exactly what Muslims are already doing. In the case of Muslims, we're saying that they're a religion of peace, and they know they're not a religion of peace and they think, well, we'll show you what religion of peace looks like, and they are activated, he warned. We are essentially activating more Muslim terrorists by doing that. Now, I'm not suggesting that we are at fault for Muslim terrorists. Don't misunderstand me. But we are clearly not helping the case by suggesting that religion, or that cult, is something that it isn't. Nehlen pointed out 90,000 Christians were killed for their faith in 2016. Breitbart reported 9 of the top 10 countries where Christians suffer extreme persecution had populations at least 50% Muslim, and Islamic extremism is by far the most significant persecution engine of Christians in the world today. This suggests Islam is not a religion of peace. You don't see any other religion attacking the way you see Islam attacking, Nehlen noted. It's a political doctrine that tries to subdue civilization to implement Sharia law, and they view that as higher than the U.S. Constitution. Quite frankly, I believe it's subversive and seditious for that to go on, and I think we need to hold our elected officials accountable to protect us from that. Nehlen, in fact, doesn't even consider Islam a true religion. What religion would suggest you should be killed if you leave? He asked. That's exactly what they suggest, you should be killed if you try to leave Islam. And I see no way to reconcile that. Islam is the only major religion that suggests that jealousy is good. Every other religion suggests you should not be jealous of what your neighbor has. Islam is the only that suggests you should lie and be jealous of what others have. Nehlen, who made his name as a business executive and last year challenged House Speaker Paul Ryan in the Republican primary in Wisconsin's 1st congressional district, has now turned his attention to the mass Muslim migration out of the Middle East and into Western countries. He explores the true reasons behind the Muslim refugee crisis in his brand-new documentary Hijra, Radical Islam's Global Invasion. Nehlen said it's important to understand the Islamic word hijra has multiple meanings. Many imams suggest it means leaving sin behind, but the word more commonly refers to the Prophet Muhammad's journey from Mecca to Medina in the year 622. However, according to Nehlan, Hijra also refers to the tactic of moving to places where Muslims currently don't live and establishing Islam in their new communities. America is headed down a suicidal path, but it's a subtle invasion, and not many Americans understand the full extent of the problem. Get all the details in Leo Hohmann's brand new book Stealth Invasion, Muslim Conquest Through Immigration and Resettlement Jihad, available now in hard copy or ebook at the W&D Superstore. We are seeing Hijra play out today as Muslims make their way to the Western world, Nehlan noted. It starts out when you have a few percent, they enter the country and they claim Islamophobia, they claim they're being persecuted, he said. Then the percentages go up, and you see suddenly there's pockets of no-go zones, and then the percentages go up more and you see people getting elected to positions. We've got a Muslim mayor in London. Nehlan emphasized his documentary is not his opinion, his information was researched and can be verified. He cites various documents and other sources in an attempt to prove to viewers that Hijra is not good for America or the West. The doctrine of Hijra may explain why Muslims wish to migrate to the West, but how does one explain the willingness of those in Western nations to welcome potentially dangerous Muslim refugees with open arms? Nehlan believes money may be at the root of the issue. Some of these people who are working in these voluntary organizations, who are being paid by the federal government to move humans into the United States, they get paid six-figure salaries, Nehlan told Knowles. I mean, a lot of people are getting paid six-figure salaries because they're moving refugees in. If there were no refugees to move in, if they put a stop to the refugees tomorrow, they would not be getting paid six-figure salaries. There is a profit motive behind this. When there is a profit motive behind it, then you've got to start questioning, well, are they really refugees? And do these people care? Do they care more about their bank accounts than they care about our safety? Nehlan knows he will attract scorn for raising these issues, but he says he won't let that stop him. They're going to call us names no matter what, so you just have to resolve yourself to the fact that you don't care, he declared. I don't care. I've been called racist, I've been called Islamophobe, sexist, it doesn't matter. I am speaking from a position of the truth, and what I'm saying is rooted in the scripture of Islam and the scripture of Jesus Christ. Nehlan assured Americans they have great power as individual citizens. He reminded Knowles' audience that only a year ago, he was running factories when he decided he was fed up with Paul Ryan's promotion of the Trans-Pacific Partnership. So he launched a campaign based largely around opposition to the TPP, and while Nehlan himself did not unseat Ryan, he forced the speaker to drop his support of the TPP. Then, 3 days after President Trump took office, he withdrew the U.S. from the deal. If you put your mind to something, you can really make a difference in this country and really make a difference in the world, Nehlan said. You could also decide to sit on your hands and do nothing. You have to be part of the solution. If you are able, if you have hands and feet and you're mobile and you can go and write letters or you can go somewhere to stand up and take a stand, that's your responsibility. It is. I firmly believe that. I encourage you, don't be afraid of people calling you names. You've got God inside you. You've got more strength inside you than the world has against you, so don't be afraid of anything. One thing is for certain, we should all be very relieved that we now have a president in the United States who is willing to call it like it is. No more George W. Bush and Barack Hussein Obama types trying to convince us that Islam is a religion of peace. These two characters thought so little of us freedom-loving Americans that even while we would see the carnage on TV perpetrated by Muslims, such as what happened on September 11, 2001, that they would try to convince us that what we were witnessing was peace. How dare they? Please share if you agree these Muslims protesting need to be deported. Follow us on Facebook at Freedom Daily.